Dennis, how you doing?
Good shape for the shape I'm in.
Good shape, Dennis?
Yeah, great. Now we can go.
Now we can go. All right. I hear you. All right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Shalom. Shabbos.
All right. All right. A beautiful, beautiful day here today in Huntington. Some might say it was a little chilly. I just thought it was absolutely stunning this morning and this afternoon. So hopefully, I don't know what to say about the weather here. It keeps changing. It keeps changing. But it is the month of Adar, and as you can tell by my sign in front, when the month of Adar comes, our joy increases. So you have to be happy this month. It's the month of Purim. It's the last month of the Hebrew year of months. And this year we don't have a second Adar, so there's no leap year. So we have to get all of our joy into one month. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But it is Adar, it is Shabbat. No matter where you are, if you're here live with us, or if you are joining us online, we're glad you are here. All right, Marilyn, since you look like you want to light candles, you want to bench licht for us?
I'm effervescent.
Effervescent. That's a word you don't always hear. And now when I'm on Jeopardy or something, they said, describe Marilyn with one word. I'll say effervescent. There you go.
Another one word would be crazy, but I like effervescent.
Crazily effervescent.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotzav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, let's have a responsive reading. Page 9. Page 9 at the top. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
Day of peace. Amen.
All right, let's continue welcoming Shabbat with some song. Page 20, Lecha Dodi, comes to us from the mystics in that wonderful city of Sfat in the north of Israel in the Galil. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful place. And we are now at that time of year right now where candle lighting time coincides with the beginning of our services. And this is the time of day on a Friday when the Kabbalists, the mystics, would go out into the fields as the sun was starting to set, and they would be dressed in their white. For them, white was the color of Shabbat. And so they would go out into the fields and they would sing and they would recite psalms, and then they would watch the sunset, and then they would have their Shabbat service and then go home for a Shabbat meal. So this is we're channeling this evening our mystical ancestors from Sfat. Top of page 20, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shamov zachor libo echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmaho echad. L'shem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נשוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאי מתוך אפיך, רב לך שבט בימי חבך, והוא יחמול עלי חמלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בני שי בית הלחמי, קורבה אל נפשי גאלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, התעוררי, כי באורך ומי אורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לא תבושי ולא תקומי, מה תשתוכחי מה תהמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה עיר על תילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, והיו לשמשה שוסייך, ורחקו כל נבלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כי המסוס חתן על כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש בן פרצי, בני שמחה ונגילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, בואי בשלום עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובשולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Turn the page to Psalm 92, some verses from the psalm set aside specifically for Shabbat, and let's read the outdented paragraph together in English. A song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. With a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together, you have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadik katahama yifrach, ke'erez balvanon yihiske, shetuli beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu, Yahafrichu. O Jenuvun Beseva, Deshenim Verahananim, Iyu Lehagi, Ki Ashar Adonai, So close out Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming the angels who come to join us. Page 24 at the top. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are now ready for the evening service, the Arvit service of Shabbat, page 146, Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Let's read together the paragraphs in the middle of page 147. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. 148 at the top. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadita Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shochneinu uvkumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayinu v'yorech yameinu V'yorech yameinu U'vahem nehege yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatcha tosir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad V'ahavta ha'et Adonai Elohecha B'chol vachaha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha V'hayu advarim ha'ele Asher nochi mitzavecha Hayom al vavecha V'shinatam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha v'derech Uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam la'ot al yadecha V'hayu latotafot b'neinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha Uv'hisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Let's read responsively, page 151. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet the one
Before our eyes, there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. When will redemption come? Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom.
Top of 152. Mi chamocha ba'im li Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nahorati lo sefer malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'amruhu, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, uga'alom yechazak mimenu, baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Top of 153, the first two lines, Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. And let's read together on page 153 in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei suchat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Top of 154. It's not Shabbat if we don't have Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berith olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berith olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti liolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berith olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berith olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berith olam. We're at the central prayer of the evening service, the Amidah, and we'll chant 155, 156, and 157 together, and then we'll go silently for the remainder of the prayer. And during that time, you can read and finish the prayer in the Hebrew. You could read the Creative English translation, or you can offer up your own prayer at that time. But we'll begin together on page 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'fiagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'fiagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'ribor, Ha'nora, El Elyon, Omer Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh hakol, vezocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevi goel lifnei b'neihem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer Moshiach u'magid, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, Yisrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayim etim atarav l'hoshiha, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayim etim b'rachamim rabim, Zomech noflim b'rofei oholim, U'matir masurim, U'mekayim emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'givurim, U'midom melech, Melech lemit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh amen. Still completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to come together on page 160, and let's read together in the middle of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. A little bit of Hoda'ah on page 163. A little bit of thanksgiving. And as I said, we are in the month of Adar, and our joy is to be increased. And so there are lots of things to be happy about, lots of things to be joyful over, and also things to be grateful for. So let's read responsibly, page 163. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
With the strength to improve the world, with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
And we'll close out our Amidah, as always, with a prayer for peace. In the evening, it's Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol heit u'b'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praise you, Adonai, who blesses your people, Israel, with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael, Shalom. Page 253. We'll continue with one of the prayers for the keep the sick close to our hearts and in our thoughts. It's a Mishaberach, and it's one of the prayers for healing. And so if you have anyone who needs a little bit of extra healing, keep them close to your heart as we prepare middle of page 253 for Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mikor habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We jump ahead to pages 258 and 259, and the prayers of our community. And Brenda, how about the top of page 258, the prayer for our congregation?
Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion and prayer and support of the needed. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, sheltecha levadcha b'yirat ha'avod. David, the prayer for our country, please.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Shalom, shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayu, Ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu, Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael, V'golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Gulatenu. Hagen Aleha, B'Yevrat Chastecha, Ufros Aleha, Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Urecha, Va'amitecha, V'Rasheha, Sareha, V'Yoetzeha. V'Tachneim Be'etza Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam Yoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. Dennis, how about the prayer for Israel?
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread it over it in the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for those of who read. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
We are starting to wind down the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. And this week's Torah portion is called Truma. And Moshe, who's still on the mountain, he had been up there being with God after receiving the Aseret HaDibrot. He now receives instructions for building a portable sanctuary, right? Something, a place of worship that they'll schlep through the wilderness as they make their treks. It's sometimes called the Mishkan, which comes from the root to dwell or to be in, or it's called the Mikdash, right? A place that is holy, a place that is set aside. And this is where worship is going to take place while they wander the desert. And it's a place where they will be able to encounter God. And that's the easiest way to explain why we had to build this sanctuary. And God says to Moshe, "Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham." Build me a sanctuary. Literally, make me a holy place, and I will dwell among them. And if you come tomorrow, we'll unpack that verse, because it says, "If you build a mikdash, I will dwell among them," instead of saying, "I will dwell in it." So you have to wait till tomorrow for that. I love cliffhangers. People are told to bring their truma. They're told to bring a gift, a donation for the building of this mikdash. And I'm telling you, this is like no other list of building materials you'll ever come upon. There was silver, copper, and gold for those who had that. There was purple and blue and crimson yarns, fine linen, goat's hair, tanned skins, acacia wood, oils, spices, precious stones, and possibly the most incredible of all things, dolphin skin. Well, it really wasn't a dolphin. It was probably tanned goat hide that was probably, if you've ever seen a dolphin, its skin is kind of iridescent when it's in the water. And maybe they made that, maybe they tanned the hides that way. But they did not go out and ask dolphins for their skins. I trust you. Trust me on that one. Everyone has to participate. This was not open for maybe I'll do, maybe I won't. Everybody had to give, but they had to freely give. So if they could only give a little bit, they gave a little bit. If they could give the gold or the silver or the copper, that's what they gave. If they didn't have that to give, they could give their time. They could help organize things. If they couldn't do that, they could help build. I mean, this was something that everybody had to have a stake in. This was going to be the place where the people encountered God, and everybody had a stake in it. There was nobody who was exempt. No, and you know, I've thought about this many, many years. There was nobody who was going to be able to take part in what that mikdash meant if they didn't contribute something to it. It was everybody's, and if you didn't contribute to it, it wasn't yours. And so Moshe wanted to make sure that everybody gave, even the littlest piece of the Mishkan, right? The guy who could only donate one screw. But think about it, if that screw were missing, the Mikdash, the Mishkan, would not be complete, and we would be at a loss. We get some very precise instructions on how to build the altar, how to put the posts together, and how to make the 7-branched menorah. And this was going to be the place where all of the religion would take place before they entered into the land. This is where we were going to encounter God, and where God was going to encounter us. And even though this is an idea that's 3,500 years old, maybe there's a key lesson for that today. All of us have to give to the building of a community, whether it's money, right? Some people will write a check and that'll be it. Other people donate their time and help organize and run the place. Other people donate their talents and help make the community stronger. Time, talent, and money all are needed. And to quote the great baseball movie Field of Dreams, if you build it, not Shoeless Joe Jackson won't come, but God will come. This week, we get 3 new mitzvot, 2 positives and 1 negative. So after last week, I think it was 54, 55, this week we're down to 3. And that is your Torah portion in a nutshell. So we are in the beginning of the month of Adar, one of my favorite months of the year on the calendar. And so my little sign up here is a quote from the Talmud, Masechet Ta'anit, the one that deals with all the fasts. It says, Meshenichnas Adar, Marbin Basimcha. When the month of Adar comes, our joy is increased. That is a wonderful sentiment, right? There's no doubt that there have been a great many of tragedies in our history, right? If you look at our calendar, we have, a fast day for the destruction of the temple. We have minor fast days for things that led up to the destruction of the temple. We have all sorts of observances that, as the joke goes, they tried to kill us, they failed, let's eat. And that is the case of Purim, right? Out of all of the holidays on our calendar, Purim is the one that is all about joy. The story starts off, a little bit dark, but ultimately it turns out positive. We win, and we have this wonderful, wonderful holiday to celebrate. The rabbis teach us that in the end of days, when the Messianic era is upon us, when everything is in its right place, all of the holidays, with the exception of Shabbat and the exception of Purim, will be erased. Right? So when we get the Messianic era, when everything is as it should be, we're not going to have to worry about Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, Sukkot, or Shavuot. We're not going to have to deal with Pesach. There's no cleaning back then for then, but we will have Purim, because it's a holiday based simply and solely on joy. And there are 4 mitzvot. There are 4 mitzvot that are associated with Purim. We have to hear the Megillah read, the story of Esther. We have to partake of a festive meal. But then there are 2 other mitzvot that tie into the idea of joy. Because everything for me, most things in our tradition come down to gratitude. We have Mishloach Manot, or if you're going to pronounce it as the Ashkenaz Jews in Eastern Europe, Shloch Manos, right? Mishloach Manot, this is the sending out of some foods, right? So observant Jews who take Purim seriously, will collect baskets of food for their friends. You have to give your friends each at least 2 different edible foods, 2 edible foods on Purim. And it's to help spread the joy. Right? And then there's one other, it's called Matanot Le'Evyonim, and you give gifts to the poor. This is one of the few times in our tradition where you actually go out and hand the poor money, or you hand the poor food for that day. Because Purim, like all of our holidays, but especially Purim, comes down to recognizing gratitude. Happiness comes from recognizing all that we have. Not what we want, not what we had, but what we have. And the great singer-songwriter, and I would say mystic, Sheryl Crow, says, it's not having what you want, but it's wanting what you have, wanting what you've got. Right? And that's what the month of Adar is. It's a chance for us to reflect on all the good that is in our lives. Right? It's not a command to kind of be happy. It's not to be kind of feeling good. It's a command to increase our joy. And how do we increase our joy? By recognizing that we have a lot. It's not about money. It's not about the number of cars you have, the number of houses you have. In my case, the number of guitars or books that I have. It's not about that. It's about being mindful that even if my guitars were to go away, even if my books were to vanish, I would still have things to be joyful about. I would still have things to be grateful for, because it's not about the material objects. It's much, much deeper than that. And so the 2 mitzvot that we have, that most of us ignore, quite frankly, in this day and age. I don't know many people who give out Mishloach Manot, and I don't know if people go out on Purim and give gifts to the poor. But the food to our friends, we're sharing our blessings. We're sharing the blessings with those whom we call friends, and we recognize at that moment that having friends is a true blessing. Yes, I remember in some communities where we would put together the baskets and people would say, oh, I can't believe I have to, I've got 20 people on my list this year. What a blessing to have 20 people you count as your friends. What a blessing to be able to share with 20 people the goodness that you have. Whether it's 20 friends or 2 friends, right? Having friends is a blessing. And then the gifts to the poor. Of all of the mitzvot, I think that is the one that the rabbis would have held most closely, most closely and said that that is the one. If you're only going to observe one mitzvah for Purim, it's this one, because it blurs the lines between the rich and the poor. It blurs those lines. It's not as if, you get to, you don't feel good when you give money to the poor. It's not a good feeling because there shouldn't be poor. But in this case, the lines are blurred and everybody gets to celebrate. Everybody gets to celebrate and should celebrate Purim because it's a wonderful holiday. It's one about joy. It's one about Thanksgiving. It's one about gratitude. And so now it's the month of Adar. Today is the 4th day of Adar. In 10 days, it'll be Purim. Then 4 weeks after that, it'll be Pesach. Another time to be joyful. But I would say that Purim is not as, Pesach is not as joyful as Purim. But that, again, is for another time, another talk. It's Adar. So let's be happy. Let's be happy together. Let's keep the joy going and pass it on to others. One quick thing, a little bit of trivia for you. So if you're ever on Jeopardy and they ask you where the name Hamantashen comes from, and you say, as most people do, Haman's pockets, Haman's ears, Haman's this, you would lose all the money. It has nothing to do with Haman. It would be like saying, do you like the style of boot I have? It's a Hitler boot, right? Because Haman is in the same line as Hitler in our tradition. Haman is the great evil person. So why would we name a tasty Purim treat after such a villain? Right? However, in Yiddish, the word for poppy is man. And when you say the poppy, it's Haman. And the tashen is the pocket. So it's the poppy pocket. It's the poppy seed pocket, actually. And that's where you get the name Hamantashen. Has nothing to do with Haman. So when you're on Jeopardy or anywhere and they say, do you know what Hamantashen are? You say, yes. Yes, they are poppy pockets. Shabbat shalom and good Shabbos.
Well said, well said.
Poppy pockets, not puppy pockets. That's a whole other thing.
I know the difference.
Okay, let's start getting ready to close out. Page 282. Judy, thank you. Thank you. There was no Mari. There was no Sam and James. Now there's a Judy. Well, there's always been a Judy, but now she has entered into that realm of reminding me it's Kiddush time. It is Kiddush time. Thank you, Judy. See that?
Thank you, Judy.
There you go, Billy. See?
Right.
We everybody helps out. It is time for Kiddush.
Kiddush.
Kiddush. Vayera vahivoker yom hashishi, vayafulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tzvaham, vayachal Elohim vayom hashvi, melachto asher asa, vayishbot vayom hashvi, michol melachto asher asa, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi, vayikadesh oto, Hivo Shavat Mikol Melachto Asher Bara Elohim La'asot Savri Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Borei Peri Hagafen Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher Kiddushan Mitzvotav V'Ratzavanu V'Shabbat Kodsho B'Ahava Uvratzon Inchilanu Zikaron Lema'aseh Bereshit Ki Hu Yom Techila L'Michraim Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim Ki Banu B'Charta Yotanu Kidashta Mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekahadesh Shabbat. And now, without further ado, page 282, Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tein ketula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam kelkeinu kahem, v'gohor aleinu kechol ha'monam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים למלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומשה יקרא בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו וגובים מרומי Eloheinu Me'enot Emek Malkeinu Efesu Hato Akatu B'Torato V'yadata Hayom V'hashivota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim V'shamayim Mimahal V'al haaretz, v'tachat eino. Kakatu b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, v'nehemar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol ha'aretz, v'yom hahu, yihyeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. This week, we observed the following yahrzeits: Mabel Poland, wife of Charles G. Poland, mother of Patricia Poland; Doris Angel, Harry's wife; Lena Glick, aunt of Billy, Barbara, David, Joanne Glick Levy, and Nancy Tarbus; Chloe E. Hankins, aunt of Jim; Edward I. Silverman, Edna Baker's brother-in-law; Israel Jacob Cohen, related to Jack Glick; Harry Glick, Mark Solochek's maternal grandmother's first cousin; Gail Gottlieb, Jack's wife, mother of Linda and Jody; Evelyn Katz, Sandy Colker's mother; Lorraine Levine, Mo's wife; Stella Reich Levy, aunt of Bob Levy; Bernice Stern, Walter's wife, Rena's sister-in-law, mother of Harriet, Jean, Marcia, Wendy, and Kathy; F. Bro, son of Adolph Bro, grandfather of Tony, Sarah Lynn, and Charles; Bessie Carand, wife of Harry, Howard's mother; Ann Cutler, Jack's sister, daughter of Harry and Ida, Rose Aronson's aunt; Morris Hartz, Anna's husband, Maury's uncle; Frances Horn Daly, daughter of Joe and Vivian, sister of Sarah, Steve, Amy, and Lisa; Gerta Rosenberg, John Rosenberg's mother; Sarah Stern Sapkowski, Diane Shuttle's aunt; Isidore James Rubin, Janet Baker's father; Robert Glick, Ruth's husband, father of Billy Glick and Barbara Shapiro, David's uncle. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us all, and may they all rest in peace.
Amen.
Page 294, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbah, Dalma, Divrach, Kirute, Yamlik, Malchute, B'chayechon, B'yomechon, v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei kucha brithu. Ve'yidlam im kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. V'amiram ba'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru
Amen.
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 All right, folks, before we close out with the Don Olam on 321, just a couple of quick announcements. The services, well, first of all, if you are not here tonight, you missed the surprise oneg that Judy and Marilyn and Judy are, Judy's wearing all sorts of hats tonight. The president reminding me of Kiddush, putting together an oneg. It's the oneg that wasn't announced. It's an unannounced oneg. And if you are here, you get it. If you're not here, you have 5 minutes to get here. But every once in a while, we surprise you with things. So you never know what's going to happen here. So thank you for the oneg. Tomorrow morning, services at 10. Sunday morning, services at 9. Is there a group doing it on Sunday for the Hamantashen, or is it just?
Yes, 10:30 Sunday morning, we'll be making Hamantashen for Purim.
And they have nothing to do with Haman, correct?
Thing.
Poppy seed pockets.
Poppy seed pockets.
Yes.
It's like Hot Pockets, but with poppy seeds.
Poppy seed.
Poppy pockets. That's 10:30 Sunday morning here in the kitchen. You can make poppy pockets and fill them with whatever you want on Sunday morning, 10:30 right here. Monday night is our deep dive into Genesis, and just keep your ear out for the Yiddish choir, and when that's going on. A week from Monday is Purim, so you'll be getting announcements about that. But in between now and Purim, there's a whole bunch of things going on, and please join us for any or all of them. We'd love to see you here. And then, of course, we'll be back here next Friday and for Shabbat services in the evening and for the rest of Shabbat. Judy, did I miss anything? Meeting or anything? The raffle, you buy tickets. Buy tickets. And if you have tickets, sell tickets. All right. And if you don't have tickets, buy the tickets. That's how it works. It's really easy.
And if you don't have tickets, you can buy from me.
There you go, Marilyn, right there. If you don't have tickets and you haven't gotten anybody, if David hasn't gotten to you yet, Marilyn.
Or Judy.
Or Judy. Or David. Or anybody who has tickets, but especially Marilyn. All right. That's coming up. So buy your tickets now. All right, let's close out page 321, Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'nasa b'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei hiflot hakol v'vahado yimlok nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh Vehu yeh v'tifara, vehu echad v'ein sheni. Laham shilo, lahachbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, v'lo ha'uz v'ha'misra, vehu eli, v'chai go'ali, v'tzur hevli b'yitzahara, vehu nisi umanosli, Menat kosi biyom ekra biyado of kidruchi biyeti shan biyahira biyim ruchi diviyati Adonai li velo ira. All right, we have a couple of people who say hello to us through the intertubes. Let's see who they are. We've got. There's Mom. Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbi's Mom and Cliff. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. Dennis says amen. It's got to be true. Wishing all a peaceful weekend and a good week ahead. Thank you. Mark and Diane Rosen with Harper and Cooper. Wow. It's a full house at the Rosens. Wish all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Mark and Diane and Harper and Cooper. Have a safe and peaceful week. Thank you. You too. All right, friends. We have a lot going on. Please come and join us for any and all. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. We'll see you soon. And please be careful out there.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Good job.
Shabbos.